Guys, I want to welcome you. So this is a first week of a brand new series that we're doing, and I love to focus on a series, and we do these from time to time because we just kind of hang out on this one idea. And over the next 3 weeks, we are going to unpack what we see right there, which is the title. If you can repeat with me, say we are the church. All right, one more time. Say it with me. Say we are the church. Now, the reason why I wanted to highlight that so much, and again, when you hear or when somebody asks you what is the church is not a what, it's a who. It's not a what, it's a who. And so I have a very important question that I do not want you to answer out loud. No need to raise your hand. I just want you to think for a minute. When it comes to church, I want you to, if I gave you a mic right now, what, and I forced you to answer, I know some of y'all be like, no, and if I forced you to answer, all right, maybe I was going to give away some of that free lunches that we're talking about later, but that you ain't got to pay for it, whatever. If you were going to have to answer this question, what would you have to say? What is the purpose of church in your life? Do you hear the difference? Think about that for a minute. Don't answer out loud. You don't need to, but I need you to think about that. Right now, if I force you to say, hey, look, $100 right now, $1 million. You had to answer this question. You had to have a real answer. An honest, sincere answer. What would you say? What is the purpose of church in my life? Another phrase, I'm going to rephrase that a little differently. Why are you sitting in a seat listening to me right now? Why do you volunteer? Why? Think. How would you answer that? How would you answer that? What is the purpose of church for you? Not for, the church is supposed to. Not a little Sunday school answer, or not what you think it is for people. No, what is it for you? What is it for you? The reason why I'm asking that is because most people in this country, a good chunk of people, they have a solid answer for that. Some don't. And there's something here that for somebody like myself, it kind of, puts me like a serious gut check. And it kind of gets me like half worried, half excited. I'm going to explain the excited why in a minute. It's going to sound like, why would you be excited about that? But let me say this. People, the professionals, not me, who do market research and talk to people, asking questions, do you guys know that the people about my age, 35 and under, when they ask them the question, today in America, 35 and under, what is the purpose of church in your life? Or is the church important in your life? People 35 and under are saying, church is not important for me. 35 and under, 80% of people 35 and under. Listen, I forgot, that was the key phrase. 80%. So we're talking about, and by the way, that is the makeup of the largest current generation that is alive in America today. And it is the largest generation in American history. It's called the millennials. Millennials aren't just teenagers anymore, all right? Well, we got mortgages, okay? We got kids, okay? We got jobs and college degrees, all right? And so the largest existing generation in American history, the largest soon-to-be voting bloc ever in American history, 80% of them, you run into 10 of them, 8 out of 10 will tell you, church is, I don't need church, it's church, no, I don't need that. 80% of them. So you can see why somebody like myself would be like, whoa, that's scary. That's scary, but that's sad. That's sad that 80, that means that only 20% of the largest generation currently living in American history actually have a positive view of church. Now, why? Why do people have that opinion? Because I feel like I guarantee you if you talk to maybe the majority of those 80, see, I don't blame those 80. I don't blame a lot of the 80s, those people, because they say, hey, why is church so negative? Because, see, the majority of those people who feel like church is important, they're actually considered unchurched, all right? Unchurched people, which is some of us in here. Unchurched people are people who have very little to no church experience ever. So the majority of those people that have a negative opinion, or just say, I'm not saying negative, I just don't need it in my life. Most of them have never really stepped foot in a church, never had a good experience, or maybe they have, and their experience was a little negative. And that's, as a church, we got to own up on that if there was anything on our part. And so I don't blame them because they don't know. And then again, guarantee you, if you ask them, well, is the church important to you? Like, no, I don't think church is important. Well, explain to me, what is the church? I'm pretty sure most of them would explain programs. I'm pretty sure most of them would say, well, I don't need the church. I don't need that program. I don't need this. I don't need that. Because it's so easy for us to associate a church with programs. But see, guys, the building isn't the church. Who is? We are. So, the church is not a program. The church is people. The church is people. And if we miss sight of that, then we miss sight on the most important thing. Guys, it's been said that the church, some of you might agree with me, some of you might disagree with me, but it's been said that the church is the hope of the world. And the reason why we say the church is the hope of the world, is because we are a reflection of the hope, which is God, which only comes in God. And so we are God on display. The church is supposed to be the physical presence and the manifestation. The church is supposed to be the physical manifestation of the presence of God. We are his hands, we are his feet. At least that's what it's supposed to be. And so, if there's a large amount of people there, guys, who don't understand, they don't understand what it is. Or maybe they've had a misconception or a bad experience, and they need someone to give them either a good first experience or to change their perception about what the church is and who the church can be. And guys, I pray this for all of us, because look, I grew up in the church and I struggled to kind of get it. I struggled for a long time to get it. And I grew up here, all right? I mean, front row, second seat, all right? Pastor's kid from day one, all right? I know it, all right? I know, and even me, being surrounded my whole life, I also misunderstood the purpose of church. See, I played this game because since mom and dad were like the guys here, there was no days off, my dad ever. And so, he was always doing it for God, which is awesome. Great example. But because my dad was always here, I couldn't fake sick. I'm like, I don't feel good. I just want to stay home. And mom let me stay home. Or mom stay home with me. I couldn't do that. It was, no, you're going to go. Straight with, throwing up, whatever it is. Second row, first row, second seat, first row. You got to go. And so I did. So then, since I knew I couldn't get out of that, and all my other relatives went to church too. So, to me as a kid, I didn't get it. And so I just saw it as a program. I just saw it as something to do. And me and my ADD self, I'm like, I'd rather do something else. And so I played this game. I made up a game. All right? It's called Operation Just Ditch Church. And so that's what I did every single Sunday. And to me, then, it made church exciting. So what I would do is I would go to my Sunday school class. And then at Sunday school class, I would say, Señora, we speak Spanish, okay, can I go to the bathroom? And I was like, sure, go to the bathroom. And I was like, all right, cool. So then I'd go to the bathroom, nice and slow, taking my time. Ended up going to the bathroom. We had a small church back in the day. It was super tiny. And we'd go to the church, I'd go into the bathroom, I would shut off the lights, go into one of the stalls, lock the stalls, stand on the toilet, and just wait. That was what I would just hide in the toilets. That was it. I was just hiding in the stalls. And I'm like, the whole time I'm getting that, thinking about back in the day, I didn't watch Mission Impossible. I used to watch the A-Team. I used to love that in the 80s. I don't know if anybody saw the A-Team in the 80s. So the whole time so I'm like doing this whole thing. I'm making it fun for me. Church is fun now. And so, there would be people walking in and I'm like, oh, shit. I'm trying not to step in the water, right? And making sure I'm trying to open the door. We had these stalls that you couldn't peek through. It was like, woo, super thin. So no one could see me. I would see sometimes the teachers looking for me because I can't find the place. Could you imagine the stress? Pastor, I lost your kid. I was like, oh my God. And so that was every Sunday. And so I would always go to the bathroom every Sunday, and I would waste half the church standing on a toilet with just having fun for me. I'm like, ooh, all right. And then they got smart. And I'm like, hey, can I go to the bathroom? No, because it was like, every time you go to the bathroom, you disappear, and I can't find you. So then I'm like, all right, fine. Can I just get some water? Guys, I had to re-strategize. So I'm like, all right, fine, you can get some water. Cool. So I would go to the water. Here's the thing though, the exit next to the church was right next to the old water fountain that we had, all right? And so I would get some water. So I'm online. I wanted water. I would get some water. I just took a detour back to class, meaning I would go out the exit door, just walk around the building, hide in the bushes, just go. And then come back, because they started getting smart to me with the bathroom. And so I'm like, I'm just going to leave the building. So I would totally leave the building. Now, let me stop before anything else and explain to this. I got to explain, just clarify. Mom and Dad, if you drop off one of your kids in our kids' environment, we have security now. Okay, we know better. We've learned from our experiences. i.e. me, and so we got cameras, we ain't losing anybody, all right? That was back in the day, we were tiny, it was whatever. We've learned, we've grown, all right? We've grown. So that was just me. I started it, and it finished with me, all right? So that's not gonna happen, okay? That's not gonna happen. But see, guys, I didn't understand what church was, and because I didn't understand it, I thought it was boring, I thought it was whatever, so I wanted to leave, I wanted out. And so if even that's some of you, that's probably some of you right now, just sitting here, just waiting for that time. Because you just want this, you just want to go. I know the feeling. I get it. Because that's all I want. But see, what shook me and what shook my perception of how important the church was, because for me it wasn't important. It was just something else to do. I just couldn't wait for it to be over so I can go and watch football, all right, during the fall season, right? I'm excited for football coming up. And so that's all I cared about. I was like, okay, we just hurry up because I got a game to go see. That was just me. But what changed my perception of the church was not a program, it was its people. Because see, the people inside the church were my friends. The people inside, the parents of people, the parents of my friends. That God used the people in the church to save me. He used the people when my life started to spiral out of control, before it really went out of control. God used the church, God used the people to open up my eyes and save me. That's why, I want you to know, being a pastor's kid, having a pastor's kid do this job and being here, it's rare. Because most kids, when they grow up, in fact, this is the one job I never wanted, just to be honest with you, because I knew what it took. I saw what my dad had to go through. I saw the late nights, and the this, and the that, and seeing everybody, so many people having to come to my parents for help, and my parents having no one to ask for help. I saw that, and I'm like, I don't want that job. That's stressful. That's a lot. I was like, I don't want that. And then, but see, why do I have this job now? It's not because I have to. It's not because it's easy. It ain't. I have it because God changed my perception of what the church is. And the same way that God used people inside of the church to change me, to rescue me, to save me, that inspires me to say, Lord, help me. I want to grow and help lead more people. So that way, the same way that you use people to transform my life, Lord, help me lead others to do the same thing with other people. Like that's the goal, and that's why I'm here. And so I know what the purpose is for me. I asked you, why are you here? What's the purpose of church for you? I got my answer. What's yours? And so some of us need some time, and even me too, we all do, a little realignment, a nice refresher. Because even somebody like myself, it gets so easy to have to deal with programs and to do this and to do that I can lose so easily. I can lose sight of what the church is supposed to be. So that's the purpose of this series. We're going to be breaking down this week. I'm going to show you guys. We're going to talk about the church vision. What's our vision and our strategy this week? Next week, we're going to talk about how that inspires our values. And then the week after that, our mission. But to start, we're going to look at a letter that the Apostle Paul, which again, someone whose life was transformed by the church, someone by Jesus Christ of the church, who wanted to shut down churches and then turned around to be the #1 church planner in church history pretty much. Right? And here he's writing a letter of a church who's lost its sight. A church who doesn't understand or has missed the vision of what a church can be and ought to be. And so let's look at 1 Corinthians 12 through 27. We're going to read the whole thing together. So if you got your Bible, you can read it. If not, you can read it on the screen. And let's just read it straight through. Verses 12 all the way through 27. For just as the body is one, and has many members, and all of the members of the body, though many, are one body, so it is with Christ. For in one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, Jews or Greek, slave or free, and all were made to drink of one Spirit. For the body does not consist of one member, but of many. If the foot should say, "Oh, because I am not the hand, I do not belong," would that make it any less a part of the body? And if the ear should say, "Because I am not the eye, I do not belong to the body," that would not make it any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would be the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, God arranged the members in one body, each one of them as he chose. If all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, and yet one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. On the contrary, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. And on those parts of the body that we think less honorable, we bestow the greater honor. And our unpresentable parts are treated with greater modesty, which are more presentable parts do not require. But God has so composed the body, giving greater honor to the parts that lacked it, that there may be no division in the body, but that the members may have the same care for one another. He's trying to get to the point here now. Watch. If one member suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. Now you are the body of Christ, and individually members of it. So, really cool phrasing. I love his analogies. And guys, the word pictures that you see Paul using there, right? He's using, and when he says you are the body, right, that he's talking about the church. And I love the way this guy, Pastor Andy Stanley, he says this. He says, if you are a believer in Jesus Christ, and guys, look, I want you to check this. If you are a believer in Jesus Christ, Andy Stanley says, you are somebody in the body of Christ. Like, I love the way that phrase. You are somebody in the body of Christ. That's what Paul was trying to say. That's what Paul's communicating. It's like, look, each and every one of you, you are somebody. You are one church, yet you are individuals. And you don't lose who you are. You are a part of a greater purpose, yet you don't lose your individuality. You still matter. And so here, if you can kind of check the theme, the overall theme of that phrase that, see, he's trying to talk to this church in the city of Corinth, right? This first letter to the Corinthians. He's trying to get them to understand this big theme, which was oneness. We can put that up. So the theme right there, he's saying, look, there's oneness. The church is one, right? There's oneness. We must value oneness. Oneness with God, but oneness with one another, right? That's what we ought to value. What the problem was that they were devaluing themselves, they were devaluing others rather than valuing each other equally. You know, I love that phrasing, right? When he kind of started saying the whole body parts, right? He says, hey, can the eye say to the foot, or whatever nonsense? It's like, look, because I can't do what the hand does, then I don't belong. Because I can't do X, I don't belong. You know, and so many of us, there's a lot of people in the church that struggle with that. There's somebody, you may be looking at me and like, well, Pastor, I don't know where I fit. You're saying I'm somebody in the body, but, I mean, I can't talk like you. So if I can't talk like certain people, does that mean I don't belong because I can't? Well, I don't play an instrument. I don't sing. I'm not good on techie stuff. I'm not super... I don't have that super friendly personality to be greeting people. I don't. Look, man. I don't know about. I can barely handle my own kids. I don't want to teach a class of 10. You know. And so, because I can't do, does that mean I don't belong? No, that's a lie. And so that's one of the things he's trying to say. Is like, look, just because you can't do doesn't mean you don't belong. You know, and so, because in the body, he was saying all these things, you know, everything is purposeful, everything has a meaning, even if it's weird, even if it's, you don't understand, right? Look, I know how about some of you, I'm pretty sure every single one of us here aren't, like, super in love with, like, 100% of our bodies, right? I'm pretty sure there's something, if you can change, I'm pretty sure you can change it, right? But you may love your eyes, you may love your hair, right? You may love your nose, but does anyone love their pinky toe? You know, I mean, think about that. I mean, do you love your pinky toe? The one on your foot? I mean, I don't know if I've ever or will ever meet someone and be like, no, man, my pinky toe is cute. I was like, no, I like my pinky toe. No, it's the weirdest one out of the bunch. I mean, some of them, it's either like sticks out a little funny for some of y'all's, right? I mean, mine's all like fat and crunched up together. I mean, looks like a jacked up Tito, right? And so, everybody's is funny. The pinky toe is weird. And then, girls, I don't even know how some of y'all can paint those. I mean, it's just like a little strip. I'm like, I mean, you need like a magnifying glass, like, to be able to see to get that strip just right, man. That's hard. And so pinky toes are ridiculous. Pinky toes are weird. Pinky toes are ugly. Pinky toes always, it's the one, it has to be. Right? When you bang your foot on anything, why is it always the pinky toe? Right? Why is it always the pinky toe that gets all of the damage? It's like the moon, right? It's just circling around, just getting beat by asteroids. Why is the pinky toe there? It's just, oh my gosh. And so it looks weird. It looks funny. If you could just get rid of it, maybe. But see, just because that pinky toe does very little compared to maybe your thumb. I mean, your thumbs are, could you imagine? You can probably get away with not having a pinky toe. Could you imagine having a thumb? I mean, that just kind of complicates life even more. But just because the pinky toe just does a little bit, does it mean that it's not important? It is important. It is important. Without the pinky toe, everything else, kind of has to compensate, and you have to learn. I mean, it's there, and that's the same thing for so much. And some of you may see yourself as the pinky toe of the church. I'm like, man, worse, maybe I'm just the pimple of the church. I don't get myself. I was like, oh, God, just get rid of me. And I'm like, no. See, guys, just because, and this is beyond church. So let me say something. I think this is going to hit somebody today. Just because somebody can do something better than you doesn't make them better than you. Can you catch that for a second? Because I struggle with getting that. Just because somebody can do something better than you doesn't mean they are better. Doesn't mean that cancels out your worth. That doesn't mean it cancels out. I mean, trust me, there was plenty of times that I struggled with that a lot. With my own insecurities and thinking, because so-and-so is better at me than fill in the blank, then I guess I have nothing to offer. I'm not important. That's a lie. I mean, it's different. It's different, but it's a lie. I mean, I was my junior year in high school. We had a championship basketball team, great team, and so I loved that team. And I wasn't good enough to play regularly. I barely played X and Y a couple times here and there that year, and I wanted to get on the court. I wanted to be with those great players, but I just wasn't good enough. There were other people better than me. Did that mean that, because 9 people are better than me, then I guess they're just better than me? I guess I have nothing to offer. No, because around that time, I kind of found my niche. Actually, it was I'm really on the practice squad, and I don't regret. I don't feel ashamed to even say it. Like when I was the team that, my squad was one that went up against that team every single week. And the reason why my team and our team was so good was because we gave them hell in the practice field. When we were practicing, we just went at it. We didn't let them. I don't care if they were 10 times better than me. They were going to earn every single basket. They were going to have, it would be blood, cut, sweat, tears, all of it. And we made them work. And so, see, it mattered. Even us on the bench, we mattered. We had a valuable contribution to that season. And so, guys, some of us and some of you, I want you to know, just because somebody may do something better, just because somebody looks better than you, doesn't mean they're better than you. Don't let that kill and help you miss out your own value, your God-given value that's inside. That's what Paul was trying to tell this group of people. Hey, don't look at somebody else that says, because I can't do, because I'm not him, then I guess I'm not important. Man, you are. You are. And then he flips it. So he's talking to one group who's devaluing themselves. And then he's talking to the other group valuing each other, right? He says, look, if you're the eye, say, look, hand, I don't need you. I don't need to see. Hand, I'm good. Right? He said, don't do that. That's ridiculous. Right? In the same way, just because you, and some of y'all maybe need to hear this one, just because some of you are better at things than other people doesn't make you better than other people. Need that gut check. Some of us need that gut check. Me too. Because there were a lot of areas that I was like, man, other people are better than me, and so I felt insecure. But then the things that I'm really good at, it's so easy for me to say, no, I don't need your help, man. You ever heard somebody say, better do it yourself than, no, how do you say that, right? Like, I just rather do it myself because I know it's going to get done right. No, let me just do it, right? And so, certain aspects of me, like, I have to remind myself, wait a minute, just because I can't do that better doesn't mean I can't include somebody. Doesn't mean I can't teach somebody, show somebody. So for some of you, I think what Paul was telling that church, and you guys need to hear it, just because somebody can do something better than you doesn't make them better than you. You have worth, you have value. And then the opposite, just because you can do certain things better than other people doesn't make you better than other people. They have worth too. So do you. See, this church had that issue because that city of Corinth was rich. It had a lot of resources, a lot of money. In fact, this church was probably considered very well off. And so there was a lot of mixed groups and classes inside. Notice that at the very beginning he says, look, you guys are one body, Jews and Greek, right? And slave and free. Like, this was a community that was unlike anything else. This was not a forced community. Here you have a multiracial, multi-generational, multi-economic group that is together, not because they have to, because they want to, out of love, because of what God is doing. And so I'm pretty sure there were some people, some Greeks, some non-Jews, who were in this church, and they were like, man, you know, Jesus was a Jew. Man, because I'm not a Jew, I'm not as special as a Christian because I wasn't a Jew. I was like, no, man, you're a part of the family too. You are somebody in the body. Just because it doesn't matter if you're not Jewish, it's okay. But then I'm pretty sure there were some people that had money, and they were like, you know what? Look, you know, we got the resources, we got the money, we got the talent, we got the brains. You know, middle class people just kind of sit there. You know, we'll handle it. We got it. And so I'm pretty sure that was there too. And then the flipped opposite. You know, there were probably some of the poor people like, man, we don't need y'all. We don't need your money. You know, or whatever nonsense. Paul is saying, man, y'all need to stop with that. Because see, the church was so beautiful about the church. You know what the world is wishing? The world is wishing they have what we have. They are trying to manipulate and to legislate and to force any which way for people just to be nice to each other, just to be courteous with one another. You know, they want the rich. You know, they don't like the haves and the haves not. They want to take from here to give to there. And then, you know, they with all jealousy and infighting and this and that. They wish they had what the church has. This even church right here, guys. We got lower income people and uber income people in the same building, in the same room, loving each other, treating each other as equals. Regardless if we do things better than each other or not. And so that right there is amazing. But see, the part of value each other, how do we value each other, guys? How do we value each other? Love. In giving. See, this church, the ones who were devalued, the ones who felt less, weren't contributing. They weren't giving. They weren't doing because they felt, I can't do anything that's important. And then the other ones weren't giving. They were selfish and they were focused and they were holding others back. And instead of giving, they were just everybody was focused on themselves. And instead of the way we value each other is the way we live and serve and love one another. Before we put this next thing up, don't put it up yet. There's this natural phenomenon. I would love to do this. If you've ever been to Israel, I'm pretty sure some of you, you might experience this. But I think you have. Did you ever go to the Dead Sea, Emily?
What?
Okay, the Dead Sea in Israel is this crazy natural phenomenon. It is in the Dead Sea. That's not considered the lowest point on earth, is it? Is it there? Okay. It is literally considered the lowest point on earth. Okay, that exists. Well, around there. And why do we call it the Dead Sea? We call it the Dead Sea because it is constantly collecting water, whether it be runoffs or this or that. And there's no exit. It just kind of pools there. And so the salt concentration is so thick and the salt concentration is so heavy that animals can't survive it. So it's called the Dead Sea because nothing can live in it. It's just constantly receiving all of this water and nothing. And did you get to swim in it? So apparently it's very hard to drown, right? I mean, how did that feel, Emily? Like you would just lay down lying. Did it feel like a waterbed? Yeah, everyone who remembers waterbeds? I was like, you don't know a waterbed? Anyways, and so if you don't, you didn't miss out. You didn't miss out. But like the Dead Sea's crazy. Like you can just lay down and not struggle, and you won't really sink. I mean, you flip around, stick your face in. I'm pretty sure you'll drown. Okay, but it's hard to drown in the Dead Sea because it's just so thick of the salt. And so again, it's dead because it's always receiving the water, never giving out. Look at this quote from D.L. Moody. We can put it up. D.L. Moody was a great evangelist, and he said this: "What makes the Dead Sea dead? Because it is all the time receiving, never giving anything. Why is it that many Christians are cold? Because they are all the time receiving, never giving out anything." Now, you can plug in the Christian with the church there. Why are there cold churches? A cold church is defined in a church that's just constantly looking to receive and never looking to give. That's a cold church. That's a cold Christian. That's probably why 80% of the largest generation in American history feels like the church has nothing to offer me. Guys, let that sink in again. 80% of the largest current generation that is alive today, boomers are about to, I'm sorry, some of y'all, just closer, just you, I know, it's like y'all at the intel, I'm sorry. But you know, boomers and the next greatest generation, I mean, the millennials, that this is a massive generation. 80% say church is not important. That's probably because if they've experienced the church and they say, well, it's not important because the church has nothing to offer me, it's probably because that church is just focusing on just receiving and not looking to give anything. You can't say, God, bless me, bless me, bless me, bless me, and not be willing to be a blessing. You can't, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. Now, God loves you. God will bless you with this and that. But you know, because God loves you, He might not bless you from time to time. Yeah. Because He loves you, He might not bless you. Because if He blesses you with more money, and you're not super responsible with the money you have now, you know what I'm saying? How would that be a blessing? You're just going to, you know, be greater in debt. Or be mismanage even more of your money. Or, you know what I'm saying? And so you got to think like that. God loves to and wants to bless you. And in fact, that is a blessing. The fact that He doesn't bless you the way He wants to bless you is in fact a blessing. It's not one you doesn't feel good at first, but He does it because He loves you. He wants to bless you guys, but the goal, you can't say, God, just bless me, bless me, bless me, and you don't want to be a blessing. God's waiting for you. But the second He sees that you're generous, the second, not even with your money, maybe with your time, with your knowledge, with who you are, the second He sees that you are somebody that wants to do and be a blessing, you automatically are blessed more because God says, ooh, I can trust you with more because you're going to do more. I can trust you with more because you're going to let that just spread. I can trust you with more courage and more strength. I can trust you with more wisdom because you ain't just going to keep it for yourself. You ain't going to be all fat-headed thinking, oh, I'm smarter than everybody. Nah, you're going to share that. I'm going to bless you with more because you're willing to give more. All right? That's God right there. And so that is what a church ought to be. And that's the vision we want to see, guys. That's our church vision. In fact, if we put it up, I want you guys to check this out. See, when we call a church is who are? What is a church? It's not a what, it's not who, it's we. And a church is made up of Christians, right? But, I'm going to add this, and this sounds a little funny. Does a church have to be made up of only Christians? Oh, Pastor, where are you going with that phrase? I was like, oh, some of y'all got nervous. Look, my wife just looked at me like, what you about to say right now? I'm like, look, does a church have to be filled with only Christians? No. Now, yes and no. Yes and no. You're right. Yes and no. Of course, yes, because a church is made up of followers of Jesus, right? Disciples. But, see, the beauty part of it is that now when I say Christian, it doesn't mean that we all have to believe in everything at the right point, at the right level, that we all got to be here. Because the church is full of places and different. Some people just starting out. Maybe there's some who are just open to, okay, I think I believe in Jesus, but I don't know about all that stuff. Okay, but do you belong? Does that person belong, guys? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. If all he does is just understand this, or he's just curious, does that person belong in this family? Yes, that person belongs. Even if he doesn't believe in everything, does the person still belong? Yes, he belongs. How else will they see? How else will they experience who God is if they don't feel like they belong? 80% of the largest generation in American history actually feels that they don't belong. The reason why they have a negative approach to church is because they think that they don't belong. Now, that's up to us to help them change that. To say, no, you do belong. You do matter. God loves you too. God loves you too. We're all on this journey together. But see, guys, look, a church is made up of Christians. A Christian is a disciple. Somebody who, not just studies information about Jesus, but who has a growing relationship with Jesus. Guys, look, you cannot have discipleship without relationship. It all works together. Being a disciple is not being a student. It's not just sitting there, right, and taking notes. All right, and seeing, okay, do you know it all? No, see, being a disciple is not just being a student. It's bigger than that. It is rooted in a relationship, right? And that's why, that's our vision. And so I want you to read this with me. Let's put it up. And so here's our vision for the church, guys. This is our vision here. We want to see the new life in Jesus Christ that everybody has. We want to see that new life in Jesus Christ. What God is doing in someone's life. We want to see, again, our vision, that influence 4 key relationships. Their relationship with God. We want to see that an individual is having a growing relationship with Jesus. This is how we know we're living on mission. Do we see the relationship with God growing? If we do, check. We're fulfilling our mission. Do we see that their relationship with God, do we see that overflowing into their closest circle of influence, their friends and their family? If we're seeing that influence and flow out, check, mission accomplished. We're doing the mission, we're doing it right. Are we seeing that flow out into the relationship inside of the church? Are we developing those relationships in the church where we can be like Paul, where Paul said, when one suffers, everyone suffers, right? When one rejoices, everyone rejoices. Now, how can I get to a place when I'm looking at Oscar, how can I get to a place where if something bad happens in Oscar's life, it affects me? Can I just manufacture that feeling? How, and you guys know it, I mean that sometimes something happens to somebody and it hurts you, but it didn't happen to you. Why does it impact you? It only impacts you if you care about that person, right? And so if something happened in Oscar's life that bothered him or that wrecked him, and if I found out about it, it ought to affect me because I know Oscar. I'm like, man, bro, that's messed up, man. Hey, I'm here for you. Now, and then the opposite. How do I know, right? So, like, Michael, let's say you're super excited about something. How can I be as excited? Can I manufacture excitement? Maybe, I can fake it, right? But no. How can I be truly as excited if something happened to him, even though it didn't happen to me? How can I feel excited? Because Michael's cool, because I love Michael. I was like, oh, man, that's awesome. And I get excited because if it was like it happened to me. How does that happen? Relationships. Love. True love. And so we want to see that influence church family. And then we want to see that flow into the community. All right? Speaking of relationships and speaking of how everybody can contribute, this boy didn't know that he actually contributed to this sermon today. And so our recent 18-year-old was at the computer, Michael. All right, everybody say happy birthday to Michael.
Happy birthday, Michael!
Thank you.
See, look, he nervous. He didn't know that he just contributed to the sermon today. And so he gave me a great visual, okay? And so we were talking, and we're there having a conversation, and then I don't know exactly the point where this came from, but he said this, and it made me think, and then it was like, ooh, that's a perfect example for my sermon. I didn't tell him, though. And so, see, in just a random conversation, he is helping to contribute to this message. And so if I can give the vision, let me give you another visual. Have you ever seen a champagne tower? You ever seen one of those? You ever seen where you got all the glasses that are organized, right? You got the 1 glass, then the 4, then the 8, then the 12, just da. How do you fill a champagne tower, right? You pour the first one into the top cup, but you don't remember saying this? Look at me.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Bro, you told me this. All right, it was a champagne tower, and what happens? You pour the champagne on the top, all right, or whatever. It fills the cup, and when it fills the cup, what happens? It flows into the next 4, and then when the next 4 is full, it flows into the next 8, and flows into the next 16, flows into the next whatever. I don't even know if the math is right on that, but whatever. So, right? And so it flows like that. Guys, that is the vision of the church. We want to see the individual so full with God that they can't help but to give. The same way when it just overflows, and we see that relationship with God overflowing into their family relationships, overflowing to their siblings, overflowing to their friends, and then that just overflowing inside the church family and the church brothers and sisters and the church's spiritual moms and dads, and that just can't help but it's just overflowing now, spilling out into the community, spilling out into our neighborhood, spilling out into our schools, spilling out into the Walmarts and the Publixes and all those places that we hang out or whatever it is. That's what we want to see. Do you guys get it? Do you see it? Do you see that? That is what, and if we learn to be that one body, the same way we got that champagne tower is many parts, but one tower. We don't get filled. But again, we don't want to just be receiving, never giving. No, receive and give, receive and give, receive and give. When we do that, we're going to show this largest generation in American history that the one thing that they actually really want, which by the way, guess what they want? Guess what they want? You ask the largest generation in American history, all 80% of these millennials, you ask them, hey, is church important to you? They'll say, nah, church isn't important to me. But then guess what they ask next? What do you want then, in general? What do you want? You know what the number one answer? 80% of millennials, largest generation, American history, you know what they say? No, it's not money. You know what they want? Community. Listen to that. See why I get excited now? You see why I get excited about that stat? 80% of the, I'm 35 and under, all right? 8 out of 10 people, you bump into them. Hey, is church important in your life? Nah, church is important. I don't need church. Church has nothing to offer me. What do you want in life? Man, I'm just looking for community. Oh my God. And I was like, bro, that is what the church is supposed to be. You see that? That is what it's supposed to be. The one thing that they really want, they don't see it's right there. That's the one thing that they're rejecting. Now, as a church, our job is our strategy. Love, can you put it up? Here, how do we show them, guys, here's what they really want. Guys, our strategy is super simple. Actually, look, can you go back? I think I had one more point. Our vision is to see that life influence all those relationships. You know what our strategy is? It's easy. You don't even have to write it down and memorize it. Our strategy is love. Love. How do you get that flow? Love. That's how you get that flow. Love is how you see that, the life of an individual flow, and then a family, and then the church, and then his community. How? Through what? And love. And I'm going to phrase it this way. This, I'm going to phrase it this way. The church, and I'm talking to Christians here. The church is called to love each other and serve one another continually, not just sit next to one another occasionally. Okay? That is the church. That's how the church. If we learn to love and serve one another continually, rather than just sit next to one another occasionally, your cup gets filled. And then it overflows, and you filling up the cup of your neighbor, and then it just flows and flows and overflows, fills and flows, fills and flows, fills and overflows.